switch to silent at this time. Okay, so for this side, we're going to have the numbers of the crop and the flowers of the crop. Numbers, so you are crop. Okay, so on the right side, can you please position yourself so that the first speaker is closest to the podium? Motion reads, this House believes gender equality is more important than religious tradition. Dr. Time starts.
In the status quo, it is unfortunate that women are so severely marginalized. This is not just in third world countries, as a stereotype would paint, but also in first world countries, where women are seen as an inferior gender than men. In today's debate, we will be discussing whether gender equality is more important than religious tradition, under the proposition we take a hard stance that it is, in fact, more important than any religious tradition that we may encounter. Right? Before we go to definitions of the proposition's case, I'd like to give some context. As I told you, women are extremely marginalized in today's society. Right? In third world countries, we see that women have many regulations that are often based on religious customs. Right? Things like not being able to leave the house without a husband is very evident in a lot of Islam-based countries. Right? But also in the first world, we see that women are still marginalized despite the progress of the country in society. Right? Not just women, but people who identify as a separate gender are often looked down upon by people in first world societies since they say that since the third gender doesn't exist in religious texts, it's not legitimate. Right? You can see that people of all of separate genders or of inferior genders are often discriminated in today's society. So a couple definitions. First, gender equality. This is the fair and equal treatment of all genders, man, woman, or anything else that someone chooses to identify as. Secondly, religious tradition. These are certain religious customs that stem from that have been practiced in certain cultures for many years. Since today's debate is about gender equality, the religious traditions that we will be talking about will of course relate to gender, things that affect certain sex more than the other. And the burden of today's debate on the proposition side is to prove that gender equality is more important than religious tradition. Right? This isn't to say that religious traditions aren't important, but simply that if we were forced to choose between the two in any scenario, we would choose gender equality over religious tradition. Now the proposition's 2 points in my speech. Firstly, about the benefits of gender equality in comparison to that of traditions, and secondly, about how gender is more core to an individual's identity. These address the two stakeholders in today's debate about society and individual. First, about how the benefits of gender equality trump any religious tradition that relates to gender. The benefits of gender equality are abundant. I don't need to spend the 5 minutes telling you about why having gender equality is so core to our society today. Right? Not just principally do we value equity and equality, but also just its impact on society. Right? In a lot of these third world countries in particular, gender equality is so important for society because they have more skilled people acting in their role. Like for instance, in Afghanistan, for example, if women were given the right to education and actually accessible education, then they would have a larger population of educated people in Afghanistan to then lead to more innovations, more progress, etc. This same kind of logic can be applied to any situation where women are marginalized, or any other gender for that matter is marginalized. And the benefits of gender equality go beyond just the stereotypical having more tend to not be able to receive this and tend to not be able to give up their religious traditions because they feel a connection to it, even though it's outdated when it comes up in today's society. Yes?
Who determines what exactly gender equality means in the context of religious rights?
We would say that we leave it up to both government and society working together. We feel that this would be very effective in society's work, right? The society is unhappy with the way gender equality is. They retaliate against the government, and the government usually has some sort of reform. On to the second point about how gender is more important to individual identity than religious identity, right? So people do not follow religious customs actually much anymore. People are moving towards a more atheist world where people are more detached towards their religion for whatever reason, right? It's clear that religion is less important than it was, say, 100 years ago. Gender, on the other hand, is becoming more and more important, right? We can see this with the emergence of people identifying with genders beyond just women and men, showing that people are able to explore themselves and that gender is becoming a core central of debate in today's status quo, right? Furthermore, gender is simply more, it impacts people's lives more because it's simply more perceivable. You can usually identify what gender someone is. However, it's more difficult usually to identify what someone's religion is. Therefore, because gender impacts someone's lives more, impacts the opportunities they receive, the way they're treated, it is more important that we achieve equality on this front than that we uphold some religious traditions that are actually not that important to the individual, right? But gender is more important to an individual because it stays with them their entire life. It's something that's less easy to change than religion, right? In summary, benefits of gender equality go way beyond any religious tradition that the opposition is. Secondly, gender is far more important to an individual's core identity than religious in today's status quo. Therefore, I'm very proud to propose this motion. Thank you.
You'll notice that the proposition first speaker did not once mention the importance of religion comparatively to any of the things that she talked about in her speech. And the reason why is because that speech is built on a fundamental misunderstanding and a first world perception of how exactly religion works and the way that it functions in our lives. Sure, religion may not be important to us as atheists, but it is certainly important to those who are religious, and those especially in those developing countries that they talked about on their side of the house. We acknowledge on our side. Gender equality is something really important, and we all want to work toward it. However, if we're going to address it comparatively, then we cannot shrug aside the Sunni Muslims in Iran, the Coptic Christians in Egypt, the devout Muslim women in Turkey who are not allowed to wear headdresses in public institutions, the minorities forced to send their children to be re-educated in Denmark, and the Chinese, Malaysian, Buddhist minorities that are being stripped of their rights to free housing, to education, and fair policies in that country. We think it's disgusting when these people do not have rights. That's something we're happy to stand for under our side of the house. Quick clarification on what this debate is really about. We think that the comparison in this debate that the judges should assess relevantly is whether the respect ultimately for the principle of gender equality or the respect for the free and equal practice of religious tradition is more important. We will contest that on their side it is ambiguous or worse to prioritize gender equality over religion. Their burden is to prove unequivocally that gender equality is more important. So, I'm going to bring 3 points in this speech. Number one, I'm going to talk about how religion is more important because it's your essence of lifestyle. Secondly, how religious influence in daily life is stronger. And thirdly, on the societal impacts of religious respect versus gender respect. So firstly, in terms of the religious essence of one's life and existence, we acknowledge that being a woman is a very core part of of many women's lives around the world. However, we would state that being religious is a far more important part of life to many, many more people inside the world. And the reason for that is fairly simple, because women often choose in their own way to be empowered by other things than just being a woman. Because they want to be businesswomen, for example, or they want to be great at a sport, they want to do a certain thing in life. However, religious individuals find meaning uniquely in being religious. That is to say that religion, unlike gender, claims a creation story. Religion tells you how you should live your life. Religion, in essence, is a devotion to eternity, because you know that your acts on this earth will determine how your next life is lived in some religions, or determine whether you go to heaven or hell in others. Crucially, what this means is that, yes, Femininity is an important part of identity for many. However, religion is a far more important part of identity for far more individuals because the scariness of heaven and hell is something that will drive religious individuals every single day to do some of the most passionate acts. And therefore, religion being the essence of one's life and existence is the most important thing in this debate. Second, religious influence in daily life is strong. That is not to say that being a woman does not matter, and we will not underplay these issues because we do think that they are important. However, that stated, religious influence in life is stronger because generally, religions are seen as mutually exclusive, right? So to the extent that you are an individual in a community that does not fit into that religious minority, your family is likely to shun you. Your community is likely to shun you. Your schools and local businesses are likely to shun you and not respect you. We see this in countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia, but we also see it to an extent in America where Muslims' mosques are literally being burned down. Now, obviously, women are disrespected as well, but the comparative is being a woman is not mutually exclusive to a man having his own rights, and therefore, women are often not seen as the same threat that other religions are. So, for example, in China, a country that is quite misogynist, I'll admit, there is still a special respect for women because they play a special role in our lives, even if they are not totally equal. Compare that to religion, where other religions in countries around the world are frequently demonized. We think that's far worse on their side of the house. We get more opportunities and more communal respect. Finally, I want to talk about the social impacts. Firstly, on a numerical level, far more people die due to religious causes than due to gendered causes. Gendered causes do lead to many deaths. However, they did not lead to, for example, the massive proxy civil war in Yemen that is fundamentally based on a conflict of religions that has led to civilians, men, women, and children dying by the millions and dying in casualties that could be prevented if this religious conflict was not given. Crucially, this would not happen on our side of the house when religions respected each other and religious tradition was allowed to be respected. Notably also, institutions like the Red Cross provide massive amounts of aid and is the largest charity in the world. Religious institutions are able to provide all of these benefits to society. So yes, allowing women to be educated is important. But to that point, I would raise, for example, the Chinese minority in Malaysia that is not allowed to be educated just in the same way. Crucially, religious minorities all around the world are oppressed in just the same ways and worse as women. That's why we're so happy to stand in Proposition.
Ladies and gentlemen, it seems quite obvious that side opposition is unwilling to engage with our arguments in today's debate. They are trying to twist the motion into one about gender equality versus religious equality, which is not what we think the motion is. We think the motion is about whether or not we should respect gender equality or religious tradition when we're confronted with a dilemma where religion tells us that a woman must wear a hijab, or religion tells us that a woman cannot go outside without a male companion, and when gender equality tells us that these things are simply and completely unfair. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's speech, I would like to go through side opposition's arguments and rebut them line by line. First of all, they tell us that religion is important. It is more important to people than their gender because it has a creation story and it tells you how to live your life. Because you're so scared about heaven and hell, you're basically dictated by religion, but you're not dictated by your gender. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't think this is actually an accurate characterization of religion in today's society. Sure, okay, religion has a creation story. It tells you how to live your life. It tells you what values you should have, right? But ladies and gentlemen, what my first speaker told you that side opposition did not address is that religion is more vague and is more flexible, right? It is easy to interpret a religious text in many different ways, right? And in fact, we point to the fact that many, and in fact most religious people do not follow the religion word for word by the religious text, right? Why is this? My first speaker told you that it is simply because of the fact that the Bible was written 2,000 years ago, right? The Quran was written in 600 CE. We think that these religious texts no longer have any actual impact in our lives in today's society, right? And that is why it is easy for us to change and these flexible values for us to fuse our society's values with the ones that we have in religion. Second of all, right, they talk about this idea of communal respect. And honestly, I don't really understand what they're trying to go with about this point, right? Because they tell us that, because religions are often discriminated against and gender is discriminated against to a less extent, somehow, right, we should value gender equality less than we value religious tradition. Like, ladies and gentlemen, this is simply not debating the motion at all. We don't think the motion is about, protecting Muslims in the United States, right? Because while that is a very important issue, I don't think that the motion is telling us to debate this issue. Right? This motion is telling us whether or not we should value gender inequality, whether or not we should allow women to drive, whether or not we should allow women to show they can reveal their faces in public, or whether or not we should care about these religious values. Right? On our side, we tell you that we definitely should value gender equality. I can take the point.
So a guy called Ataturk, a post-Ottoman leader, implemented a lot of the things that you talk about, and now quite a lot of Muslim women in Turkey are very upset about his policies. If it's their choice, then shouldn't they be able to choose religion over gender equality?
Yes. So, science opposition brings up a good point. Right? Okay, many Muslim women might want to wear a hijab. Right? Many Muslim women might respect these religious traditions that govern their own lives. But ladies and gentlemen, why do we think this is actually less important? At the end of the day, we on side proposition value Western feminism. We think that Western feminism is the only type of feminism that actually gives women real, no thank you, equality. Right? Even though side opposition might tell you that because women have the right to choose, they can choose to oppress themselves. We don't think that this choice is actually one that they make with proper information. No thank you. Or actually, I'll take this.
So why exactly is a white, wealthy feminist able to justify the claims based on African women's needs?
Okay, I'm not really sure what he was trying to ask. Okay. If I may try to interpret this POI, I believe he was asking why a wealthy white female can impose their values on the people living in third world countries and the people living in accordance with different religions. Right? And ladies and gentlemen, the reason for this ability is the fact that there is only one kind of gender equality, right? The only kind of gender equality that we respect on side proposition is when women have the exact same rights and abilities to function in society as men. But we think that even though women might agree with some of the things published in written in the Quran, we don't think that their choice is actually one that is made with proper knowledge, that is made without the right of heaven or earth. So we think that from a utilitarian standpoint, because our side of the motion benefits women better in today's society, I'm very proud to
certain opinions when gender equality is involved. We were able to ignore certain cultures when gender equality is involved. But when it comes to religious traditions, when religion is a fundamental essence of a person's identity, opposition wants to take a step back and think about it. What's our stance here? We think gender equality is definitely important, but our burden here is to prove 2 parts. A, gender equality is dubiously more important than religion, so we think they're on par in importance. Or B, religious traditions should be more important than gender equality. Their burden here in today's debate is to prove that they have to prove in all instances gender equality should trump over religious traditions, and I'm going to move on to the 3 hash points of this debate. We think this debate is probably about religious traditions versus gender equality. First, the religious essence of our life's existence, right? We think on average, more people believe religion as their essence of life comparatively to gender equality. We have devout Muslims and Christians that depend on their religion for their guidance. This looks like strict fasting. This looks like being charitable to the poor. This looks like not having sex when you're not married. And we think this deeply affects how you live, right? And it deeply affects your moral values. We think these are the things that precisely keep people who don't have this ability to feel like, there's a meaning in life. We give them a meaning to be alive. The idea that I have an afterlife and God will reward me is the sole identity of some people in our world. Comparatively, we think gender, we agree is important, but you can have a multiplicity of identities. I can be a gay man with other things to define me, like being a businessman or being a sports star. I don't find gender equality uniquely encompassing my entire life. So my gender does not tell me that I need to stay at home, and that my religion can tell me that, because religion encompasses all aspects of our life. And then second speaker here, and offers probably the most patronizing thing I've heard anyone ever. They said we tell you that most Muslim women choose to wear a hijab because of their religion, right? But they're willing to disrespect their religion in gender equality. We think it is disgusting for them to say that they are ready for us to basically say Muslim women and religious women don't know what they're talking about, right? Western feminism is the only equality, and Western feminism should be the only standard in which women are valued. They're essentially saying that white women who have no idea of the local nuances of my culture can come into my country and tell me, hey, you gotta act this way, otherwise you're not a correct woman. That's disgusting. We're not able to support that. Look, we think there are multiple gender identities, and we have to respect all kinds of culture. We think principally when they tell you this, they already lost in this debate. Now, second speaker also told us that religion is very vague and old, so this is a reason why we shouldn't respect it. Look, we think there are impacts of religion as so much that people believe they have an impact. So if I believe in an old Bible and there are impacts of this religion that affects my life, we don't really see the case. Now moving on to the two other flashpoints. One other flashpoint. Let's talk about social impacts, right? Matt already very clearly clarified you in his very first speech that religious conflicts are probably more violent than gender conflicts, right? There are much more social impacts that come from religious tension than probably gender equality. We understand that yes, women are oppressed in workplaces, and yes, that is important. But if we take a step back and look at history, we think far more people have died in religious conflicts than gender fighting. If we look at religion, right, we think it is mutually exclusive for a religion to have another religion. We don't think it is mutually exclusive for gender equality. That is to say, religion is demonized when you have a religion. This means that Christians will obviously hate Muslims and they will hate each other for eternity because it's mutually exclusive. This is not the case for gender equality. So in cases like these, we think that religion has a far more impactful impact on a person's life because it is mutually exclusive and you are forced to choose one over another. People can have multiple gender identities and we respect this, but we also think on opposition, we should be able to respect the religion. At the end of the day, we are the side that says that Muslim women can choose to wear their hijab if they really want to respect the religion. They're the side that say that white women should have the right to come into my nation and tell me what I need to do and tell me what I should do as a woman. At the end of the day, I'm not really sure what we're debating anymore. Because I think it's probably better for them to talk about why gender identity and gender equality should be a multiplicity of views. But since they told us that Western feminism is the only standard in which women should be valued at, we think this already principally lost them the entire debate. We tell you that religion is important in somebody's life. Religion is the definition of my essence, and religion is the only reason why I donate to the poor and I live a good life with my wife. Thank you.
Look, this debate is ultimately about comparing whether we respect religious tradition or gender equality more. If we could prefer the absolute respect of all religious rights or all gender rights, which would it be? We told you from the very start that it was religious rights. Now, what did they come back with? They tried to squirrel the motion and essentially say, oh, but we're only going to look at religion through a feminist lens. Firstly, this gives just a generally bad feeling about how uncharitable this interpretation of the motion is. But even if that's true, given that we've proven to you that religious violations are more important than gendered violations, i.e. being a religious outcast is worse than being a gendered outcast, on their side of the house, women will be harmed more because they are not only females, but they are also apparently not respecting religious tradition. That's far worse under their side of the house. Very happy to propose. I'm going to talk about two things in this speech. Firstly, I'll speak about individual impacts. Secondly, I'll speak about societal impacts. The first thing I want to address is individual impacts. We told you that we stand for religious rights and that it matter, and we stand on the side of choice. Now look, some women don't necessarily want to be religious. We think that the vast majority of religious women generally want to be religious. And this isn't because, as they say, oh, religious women don't have the correct information, because we don't think that Western white feminists have absolute access to all information. Because this is a deeply personal choice. And if you choose to believe in God, you choose to believe in Allah, or you choose to believe in Buddha, that is your personal choice. There's a reason why we respect the right to religious freedom in almost every civilized country around the globe. It's because every individual should have the right to choice of religion. So for them to come up and tell us that Western feminism is always correct is patently false, and it actually goes against gender equality. Because it's not equal when Muslim men can make choices about their religion in France, but Muslim women cannot go out in bikinis. It is not equal when Muslim women in Turkey cannot wear a burqa in public institutions and therefore cannot go to school while also respecting their religion. These are things that are important to these people's lives. We stand on the side of allowing these people who have clearly expressed their choice to make this choice. Therefore, we can see that intuitively on a trivial basis, Muslim and religious women have chosen religion over their gendered identity because we think that when Ataturk, for example, came in and implemented secular reform to try to prevent religion from harming these women, they clearly did not want that. All they said in response to this is, well, religion is flexible. People don't actually care about heaven and hell when you can reinterpret the text, right? Patently false, because religion matters insofar as you think it matters. And religious institutions in the countries that we're talking about are very, very, very powerful. So yes, the Pope might reinterpret the religious doctrine for some very liberal Catholics somewhere in the world. To that extent, this debate doesn't matter according to them either, because religious doctrine and gender equality are not at odds. But to the extent that they are at odds, these are places with very strong religious authorities. We're talking about the Ayatollah in Iran, and we're talking about the ulema in Saudi Arabia. These are very strong religious authorities that can essentially tell you what is important. If these people therefore believe it's important, then religion is always going to be a matter of heaven and hell. They provided nothing in response to that on their side of the house. Finally, under individual impacts, we told you that the community will reject you sometimes if you are a female. That is harmful. However, the community will reject you far more if you are a religious outcast. And the reason is this, as we told you from our very first speech, because religious outcasts are seen as mutually exclusive and attacking your identity, whereas a woman is not also seen as attacking a man's identity. Because we respect women to some extent because of their important place in society, but the Sunnis do not respect the Shias, and the Shias do not respect the Sunnis. Crucially, what that means is that on an individual basis, and this is by far the most important thing in the debate, we win clearly. Finally, on societal impacts, we would just note that they haven't responded at all to the religious wars that we talked about sparked on their side of the house. So yes, we think that generally gender is bad, but however, religion is far more important, and respecting religion, taking away these women's burqa, is not only going against their choice, but it's going against what's right under their side of the house. We are so proud to oppose.
Rights that I looked at through a feminist lens, right? The entire example that we think is most logically coherent. But regardless, we'll still argue on their idea about religious rights versus gender equality, right? Second, before the clashes, gender equality is also something that we define on our side to be equality and fair treatment of all genders. Never did we say that this would be implemented through Western feminism, like just white women going into third world countries, volunteers, and telling them what to do. We never said this. The opposition, in fact, are the ones who brought this up and then tried to convince judges that this was what we said. Right? This is not the case. We are very happy to let local governments and local communities use, power of people and just the power of the government to decide what's important to the UN. We're very happy to use any of these things. We never suggested that Western feminism is superior. Right now, today's clashes, we also identify the two clashes. The impact on the individual and the impact on society equally important. Right? First, the impact on the individual. So the opposition told us that religions are core to people's identity, right? But we think simply numerically, more atheists are more atheists than people who do not identify as a gender, right? Therefore, religion is more important to a smaller amount of people, right? This in itself means that religion is not as core to that many people's identity. And furthermore, people who don't identify as a gender are far more discriminated than people who identify as atheists, right? But even if you don't buy this argument, we see that just because gender doesn't have a set of rules as a religion, right? The 10 Commandments of being a woman doesn't exist, doesn't mean it still doesn't have an impact on the world, right? They definitely do have a daily influence. Women have the daily influence of catcalling in their day. This might not be as severe as something that a religion faces, but at the end of the day, religion is a choice, whereas gender in our society is less of a choice. But even again, if you don't buy this argument, we still tell you that women do face, or people of a certain gender face whatever societal impact is placed on their gender as much, or impact more than religious, simply even though it's not written down. In fact, we say that because it's not written down, because there's not a list of 10 commandments, it's actually less noticeable and people are easily able to brush it aside, right? This is why gender is more core to someone's identity. It's simply more perceivable from a visual standpoint, and it can also exist in cohesion with other religious rights, as I already talked about. I think the core tenets of religion, things like the 5 pillars of Islam, 10 commandments, these are all things that can exist in unison with gender equality. That's why we're not debating which one is more important. Right? Second one, the impact on society. The opposition's entire argument here is that religious rights are more important because they have more wars. They provided no logical substantiation why this is. Why does more deaths mean something is more important, right? In fact, on our side, we feel that gender issues are more widespread, right? You have gender inequality in first world and third world countries, whereas these severe wars between Sunnis and Shias largely only exist in the Middle East. We don't see a lot of religious